Hello everyone, today we're going to do something a little bit special as it's the last of the 12 Days of Christmas series I've been doing over this last 2 weeks. I'm also not going to go into massive detail about every stage of how this is made because between penguin and the robin and owl DIYs that I've done, I think I'd be reiterating a lot of the same points that I discussed in those videos. So I just wanted to show really the process of how I ended up putting this together visually and maybe pick up on a few of the little points that maybe need explaining. Now, the idea behind today's DIY actually comes from the inspiration I had behind doing all of these DIYs. I mentioned Lincoln Market in one of the earlier videos, and we hadn't been there for about 4 years, and it was just really a lovely weekend break that I got to spend with my partner, and we wanted to commemorate that idea, so we wanted to pick up a little decoration that we could hang onto the tree just to kind of commemorate this Christmas. And we picked up this little needle-felted mouse who's holding a bell. I really loved this idea, and I loved the handmade aspect of it, and I just thought it was really cute. So I really wanted the tree to have more pieces like this, and that's what made me want to do all of these different DIYs. And I thought it might be fun to share with you guys how I made these, so that if you wanted to make similar or inspired you to make something handmade for your tree, you'd maybe be inspired by some of my ideas. But I knew from day one what I wanted day 12 to be, and that was a kitten version of the mouse that we got, as if it was a matching set and a pair, because I mean, what is a better friend to a mouse than a cat? And obviously I have a living, breathing cat model in my house who just had to be the muse behind this piece. So I modelled this little guy on Rory, and I wanted it to have a very similar feel of this almost like Beatrix Potter illustration style of him wearing a little jacket and scarf, and I wanted something like that. So I actually repurposed an needle felting set that I got from Hobbycraft. It was this random red squirrel set, and the reason I got it is because it had a wide range of different coloured felts, but it was far cheaper than buying all those felts separately, and also it was a lot closer to the actual colours that Rory is. He's not a neon orange cat that I think most ginger cats are. He's quite like a muted brown orange cat, and the colours seemed a lot closer to that, and to be honest, by the end I think it was a really good choice to have these ones. I prefer more muted earthy tones. I don't really like super bright tones all the time. I like them sometimes, but not many of these DIYs have kind of gone that route, so I tried to keep them all somewhat similar. To be honest, because I wasn't following the set and I haven't really made many needle felt things, as you probably could tell from the penguin earlier this week, I just kind of went on the fly with this. The set came with this wool batting. It's kind of like a coarser, thicker type of wool, and I used that to create the main structure of the body and the head and the legs. The way I put all of these random parts together was I would roll them into balls or sausages, needle felt the sides that I wanted to be strong, so say like the end of the leg, and on the other side, which was unworked and I hadn't really needle felted at all, I would press that into the body at the place I wanted to attach it, and then start needle felting again. I think one of the nice things with needle felt is it doesn't have to be a specific consistency or appearance. You can just make it as soft or as coarse as you want the texture to be in the end, so if you don't want to massively overwork it, you don't have to. And I didn't really want to, with it being a cat. I felt like if it was super coarse, it kind of wouldn't reflect how Rory actually is in person. I wanted it to be a bit softer, so I didn't really mind the wispy felt until maybe a bit later when it kept catching to glue. And yeah, once all of that wool batting was done and I kind of had almost the skeleton of the cat shape that I wanted, I just began wrapping the different coloured wool in thin sheets around that body wherever I wanted those colours to be. And I just, like I say, I just kind of played it fast and loose. I just kept ripping off random colours and trying to give this rough idea of what I wanted it to be. I didn't really put a massive plan into this. I think that might be why I feel a bit awkward giving some detailed DIYs if I thought about every stage beforehand. I think the footage can tell I'm just kind of playing it on the fly and seeing how it's going to go. I'm just hoping for the best, I guess. After I'd gotten all of the main fur colours of Rory onto there, I started going into details probably a little bit too early. I think I probably should have done all of these after I put the clothing on, as you'll probably see when the entire face comes off because I didn't leave it to glue long enough. But to make the details on the face, I took some similar-ish coloured felt to Rory's ears. It's like lighter brown felt. And I cut it off into two little triangles. I used the first one to create the second one, and then I needle felted them onto the head where I wanted the ears to be. And I'm just kind of roughly going there and using the other to match it up and just needle felting it into the head. And with the eyes, I just added some glue and put these little black beads on for the eyes and cut off a tiny pink triangle of felt to make his little nose. I think it wouldn't be too hard to use some embroidery thread and stitch on a little mouth or a little nose, or even the eyes. You could have, to be honest, thinking about it, the eyes would have made more sense, but I kind of like the white around the eyes in the end. It makes him look a bit shocked, which I quite like. Also for the tail of Rory, I took again the brown felt I used for the ears, just cut off a long strip, and then with some of this leftover wool I'd kept pulling off while I was doing the coat, I just wrapped this loosely around the felt and needle felted that again to try and create this like thin bushy tail. I left the other end of the felt exposed so I could attach it to the body a bit easier later on when I've decided what I was going to do. And to create the clothes, I just took some felt. I wanted him to be wearing a little red jacket, and then later on I thought a grey scarf would look nice on him. And just to create the jacket, I added a little bit of stitching on the bottom by folding the felt up a little bit, taking some orange embroidery thread. I just did this very simple stitch to attach the two pieces together and just add a little bit of extra detail to the coat just so it didn't look too plain. I didn't really mind that the stitches weren't perfectly even because I kind of imagine it as if this was created by a fellow cat tailor and I don't think cats would make amazing tailors. As much as Rory does seem to like it when I use my sewing machine, I don't think he would personally enjoy them too much, though. I mean, they have claws, don't they, so maybe they'd make good stitches. You have used them like little needles? I don't know. Anyway, if you can't tell, this took me about 7 hours total. I'm really gonna cut down the video a lot, just so it's not horrifically painful to watch. Yeah, the hours kind of flew by though, because this was a lot of fun to make, and because I was just seeing how it went, I really did enjoy making this one. It's probably my favourite one to make these 12 days. I'm not sure if it's my favourite overall. It might be. I think it actually might be, yeah. I didn't want to say that because it's the last one, but no, it probably is. And yeah, to create the scarf, just to finish off, I just cut the rough felt that I wanted, and then again, just like the coat, I tried to add some extra detail by stitching onto the felt in just random patterns. I was trying to do almost like a herringbone idea with the orange, and then kind of mix it up by interlacing with the green, and then I used this red-pink embroidery thread that I have, and again repeated the same simple stitch that I did on the coat, but this time I kind of pulled it a little bit. It's the type of stitch that you'd use if you wanted to make a pom-pom or to create a ball out of fabric. You can do this in and out version of a stitch, and when you pull the stitch, it's going to bring all of the fabric together, and I thought this would be nice on the scarf to try and give it a little bit of extra texture, just so it didn't look like a flat piece of felt. And I stitched these two pieces together rather than gluing them because of how much of a nightmare that was. And for the sleeves, I did try again to use glue. And it's like I completely forget about how awful the eyes were about 2 hours before. So I ended up putting these little bits of green thread and tying them around as if he's got little cuffs or little, I don't know, armbands. I mean, it adds a little bit of extra detail, which kind of looks nice anyway, and I know then that the sleeves are actually going to stay on my little Rory's arms. And then, now at the last minute, I realised I hadn't attached the tail, so I cut a little divot out of the back of the jacket that I'd made, which I thought would at least make some sense, as you do see that in jackets, obviously, and then I pushed his little tail through, and with that exposed bit of felt I left earlier, I just needle felted that into its back. It's funny because a few days ago Wise World mentioned, oh, is it going to be a tree topper day 12? And I thought, no, did I not think of that? I think because I was so sure that I wanted to make this little miniature Rory for day 12, I didn't even think about the idea of it being a tree topper. But as he said it, I thought, you know, I kind of like that idea. Maybe I can turn it into one. Now, I already have this glittery star, but I thought it'd be a lot of fun to lace little Rory on top, and I think he looks really cute. I'm really chuffed with how he turned out. And here is the final product. This is how the tree looks now. Really can't express how happy I am with how this turned out. The only trouble is now I'm worried about things getting damaged over the next year, but I think I'll just have to find a nice box and store them up properly. I think it looks especially nice with all the colourful lights on, and it's just nice to see all of these tiny little crafts all over the tree. I really can't recommend handmade crafts enough. You can buy lots of beautiful ornaments for your tree, obviously, but I know when I was a kid, and still now to be honest, the ornaments that I always loved the most on my family's tree were handmade items that they had made, or I mean we have one that's like our great grandma made as a kid. Like, they're amazing to look at. I think they're just wonderful to see passed down, and yeah, I don't know, there's just something really nice about it. You know, Christmas is such a thing about tradition, and I think handmade items have this wonderful thing of capturing specific Christmases. Having these handmade ornaments can allow you to have something unique and memorable from each specific Christmas, and it's just wonderful, I think, to look back on and to see a history almost on a Christmas tree. So if you do get a chance, I really would recommend making a handmade ornament. It doesn't have to be any of the 12 I did. It should be anything that you want. If any of them inspire you, I'd be really happy to hear that, and I'd love to see anything that you make or anything that you do have on your tree already, because I think it is a really lovely thing to see. So if you do want to share anything like that, you can tag me over on Instagram, my link is below, and if you want to chat before this year's Christmas finally comes to a hit, I'll obviously be answering any comments underneath. I just want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas, and probably a Happy New Year, because I probably won't see you before then. I hope you get to spend it with people that you love, and that you just have a wonderful day, and I'll see you again next year in 2018. Look after yourself, and Merry Christmas.